Farah Golab, CEO of the profitable technology company Golab Innovations, had the morning sun streaming through her large office windows. Papers and pictures from a recent family gathering piled on her polished mahogany desk displayed a vivid woman in her mid-50s, her brown eyes radiating warmth and wisdom. But today, her usual energetic presence was absent, replaced by a terrifying void her staff could not overlook. When Farah's personal assistant, Nyla, couldn't get to her for a critical meeting, she set off the first alert. Nyla's anxiety grew as the minutes stretched into hours and resolved to pay Farah a visit at her house. She discovered a scene of horror there that would start a series of events resulting in one of the most startling trials in the annals of their town. Farah's body turned up in her home office, dead and slumped over her desk. Nyla called the police right away, and within an hour detectives were swarming the house, marking the area and beginning their painstaking work. The first inspection turned up no evidence of forced entry, and the cause of death was not immediately clear. Friends, sorry to interrupt, but please help me reach 1,100 subscribers by the end of the summer. I will be very pleased. Let's keep going. The case was taken under the direction of seasoned investigator with sharp analytical mind, Detective Youssef Karim. He gave the grounds a complete forensic sweep directive. Though a full autopsy was required to verify her suspicions, the medical examiner, Dr. Anisa Patel, conducted a preliminary examination, and suspected poisoning was noted. Whispers and rumors began to circulate back at the Golab Innovations office. Workers conjectured about the likely causes and suspects. Farah's family, a close-knit group despite sporadic conflicts, was brought in under interrogation. Examined closely were her siblings, cousins, and even distant relatives. One name kept coming up: her nephew, Amir Alizadeh. Amir was well known for his ambition and his stormy relationship with his aunt. Farah had trained him to finally run the family business, but his impatience and recent financial problems had tested their relationship. Amir's actions in the days after her death simply served to heighten the mounting mistrust. He avoided eye contact with family members, was seen frantically checking his phone, and his typically confident manner was replaced by an unusual jitteriness. When forensic entomology entered the picture, the research veered greatly. Observing unusual insect activity on Farah's body, Dr. Patel contacted top forensic entomologist Dr. Rajesh Mehta right away. Contrary to Amir's alibi, Dr. Mehta's investigation gave Farah's death a crucial period. Moreover, Farah's system revealed minute levels of a rare poison taken from an exotic plant only found in particular areas. One could not readily get this poison without particular knowledge or contacts. Detective Karim dug further into Amir's most recent behavior. Amir had recently visited a nation where this particular plant was native. He found this information presented a concerning picture when combined with witness accounts and financial records, proving Amir's large debt. Amir had means, a motive, and today it seemed opportunity. More shocking evidence surfaced as the inquiry went forward. Amir's online presence turned up an encrypted email exchange between a known black market dealer focused on rare toxins. After decoding the emails, which unequivocally described a transaction involving the toxin discovered in Farah's body, the investigators' CCTV footage from a nearby drugstore also showed Amir buying what looked to be ingredients used to cover the taste of the poison. The turning point arrived when Neela discovered a secret journal kept in Farah's office. Farah had carefully expressed in it her mounting worries about Amir's erratic behavior and his repeated demands for big amounts of money. She wrote about a confrontation in which Amir threatened her, suggesting that should she refuse his requests, he would act dramatically. Detective Karim felt He had enough evidence, the forensic data, the decrypted emails, to arrest Amir with this notebook. When the news leaked, the once promising young man was taken into custody under charges of murder of his aunt. Shocking the society, the weight of the family's legacy, and the sinister motives behind such a horrible deed started to collapse in the courtroom as the trial neared. With its mix of familial betrayal, ambition, and greed, Amir Alizade's trial became a media sensation that enthralled the public. Every day, Courtroom 5B was bursting with reporters, relatives, and inquisitive onlookers ready to see the drama playing out. Under the tenacious prosecutor Zara Rahimi, the prosecution painstakingly compiled the proof against Amir. Starting with a thorough description of Farah Golab's death, Zara stressed the exacting nature of the poisoning. To discuss the autopsy results, she phoned Dr. Anisa Patel to the stand. The rare poison had attacked Farah's system, Dr. Patel said, leading to a slow and agonizing death. She said that unless specifically tested for, the substance was practically invisible, suggesting a planned murder. Then, Dr. Rajesh Mehta, the forensic entomologist, stood up. He offered a chronology based on insect activity, which directly ran counter to Amir's alimony. His testimony underlined the exact dosage of the poison and the careful preparation needed to carry out such a crime. The prosecution then brought in the decrypted emails Amir had sent to the black market dealer. These letters captured Amir's desperation and his ready acceptance of any cost for the poison. Amir's defense was cornered by Zara's sharp questions, which highlighted his intent and premeditation. Layla Azari, Amir's defense lawyer, sought to present another picture. She said that Amir's relationship with his aunt, although tense, was not hostile enough to inspire him to murder, and that the proof was circumstantial. She said the journal entries were overdone and that Farah's death might have come from another offender with access to the same tools. The defense also brought witnesses attesting to Amir's moral qualities, characterizing him as a driven but gentle person who would never endanger his family. But Amir's financial desperation and the overwhelming forensic data eclipsed their testimony. Farah's personal assistant, Naila, stepped forward as the trial went on. She related her finding of Farah's body and her mounting worries over Amir's unusual behavior. The prosecution's case gained a personal and moving touch from Naila's emotional account of Farah's worries and the threats Amir posed. Amir himself standing up was among the most gripping events. Zara Rahimi broke through his alibi and motivations under cross-examination. Amir's erratic responses and tense manner did not much support his case. Amir's facade fell apart when he faced the emails and proof of his financial problems. He acknowledged the correspondence, but insisted he was innocent about the actual poisoning. The turning point came when the prosecution brought the journal into proof. Zara read passages aloud that highlighted Farah's mounting anxiety of Amir and his threats. Farah's words hung silently in the courtroom, vividly depicting her last days and the terror she experienced. Amir's defense faltered in trying to offset the emotional weight of Farah's words. The jury was obviously moved, emphasizing the possibility of another offender and the lack of direct eyewitnesses. Layla Azari made a last plea, but the jury appeared dubious. Following weeks of evidence and deliberation, the jury came back with a first-degree murder-guilty decision. Amir Alizadeh received a life-in-prison sentence without chance of parole, though the scars of the ordeal would linger for a long time. The choice gave Farah's grieving family and colleagues some sort of closure. Aftermath and interpretations. The months after the trial brought major changes for Golab Innovations. Darius Golab, Farah's brother, became acting CEO. Under his direction, the business aimed to honor Farah's legacy and move toward trauma healing. Darius set up a foundation in Farah's name to finance technology education for underprivileged young people and carried out several programs to help staff members' mental health. Still working at Golab Innovations, Nyla committed herself to safeguarding Farah's vision and guaranteeing the company's success. Often speaking about Farah's love of education and creativity, she became a major player in the new foundation. Though Amir's betrayal split the Golab family, they discovered strength in one another. They got together often to remember Farah and to encourage one another. Understanding that unity was the best way to honor Farah's memory, the once estranged family members worked to mend their relationships. Amir's incarceration served as a sobering reminder of the terrible force of ambition and wealth. He had lots of time in jail to consider his deeds and the irrevocable effects they caused on his family. Even if he insisted he was innocent, the jury's decision and the facts cast little question about his guilt. Shocked by the crime and the trial, the neighborhood came together around the Golab family. To honor Farah's contributions to the technology industry and her charitable endeavors, they set up annual memorials and community gatherings. The life and sad death of Farah turned into a warning about the need of integrity and the dangers of unbridled ambition. Under Darius's direction, Golab Innovations prospered as the years went by. Farah's vision kept inspiring invention and advancement. The successes of the business and the life changed by the foundation bearing her name helped to honor her legacy. The shadow of Farah Golab's said death gradually disappeared as the years passed, replaced by a fresh enthusiasm at Golab Innovations. Still, the narrative was hardly over. Unknown to many, latent layers of the truth started to show themselves, offering closure to people engaged, as well as revelations. It began with Layla Karimi, a documentary filmmaker attracted by the dramatic features of the case. She decided to make a movie on Farah's life, her contributions to the tech sector, and the terrible family betrayal. Layla's investigation resulted in interviews with every person linked to the case, including Amir Alizadeh, now serving his life sentence. Amir, skinny and emotionally exhausted, revealed a startling bit of information during one of these interviews. He alluded to an accomplice, someone who had obtained the rare poison for him and had a stake in Farah's death. The town was rocked by this disclosure, which also reopened the inquiry. Now retired, but still keen, Detective Youssef Karim was invited back as a consultant, working closely with Amina Bashir, the fresh lead investigator driven to expose the whole truth. Re-evaluating the data, they sought for any links they might have missed during the initial inquiry. Their deeper investigation of Amir's financial records proved the breakthrough. A sequence of mysterious deals pointed to a shell company connected to Ramin Jafari, Farah's chief financial officer. Longtime employee and close friend of Farah, Ramin had been leading apparently perfect life. But as the probe dug further, it became evident that Ramin had a history of gambling addiction and major, unreported debt. Through intricate financial moves, Ramin had been able to hide his actions, but finally the investigators found the truth. He had worked with Amir, guiding him into the belief that Farah's death was the only way their financial problems could be resolved. For Amir, whose own desperation had blinded him to the manipulation, the prospect of inheriting the business and gaining command of its enormous resources had been a strong lure. The authorities arrested Ramin Jafari, armed with this fresh data. Ramin broke down and admitted his part in the crime under interrogation. He went into great detail about how he had coordinated the whole scheme, taking advantage of Amir's shortcomings to guarantee the poison was acquired and given without directly linking himself. His admission confirmed Amir's allegation about an accomplice, so completing the last pieces of the jigsaw. As the word leaked, the town was once more in shock. The tragedy of the story gained still another level from the betrayal by someone so near to Farah. But it also brought closure, since the whole nature of the conspiracy was at last exposed. Ramin had a quick and forceful trial. He was sentenced to life in prison after confessing and providing supporting documentation, proving his guilt of conspiratorial to commit murder. Though heavy, this verdict gave Farah's memory some justice. After all, Golab Innovations kept growing. Darius Golab guided the business across the stormy times with his consistent leadership. The revelation of Ramin's betrayal resulted in a total overhaul of the financial control of the business, guaranteeing such weaknesses could never be used once more. Now, the Director of Community Relations, Neela led projects advancing Farah's charitable objectives. The foundation grew, supporting creative educational initiatives and technology incubators, enabling many young people to realize their aspirations. Now, free of the shadow of her terrible death, Farah's legacy shone brilliantly. Knowing the full truth was out gave Amir, still under incarceration, some peace. He said he was sorry for his behavior and the suffering he brought about for his family. Considered as a step toward atonement, his eagerness to expose Ramin's participation, despite personal risk, was evident. Having surmounted so much, the community came out stronger and more cohesive. Celebrating her life and contributions, annual memorial events for Farah evolved into a symbol of hope and resiliency, reminding everyone of the value of integrity and family. The documentary Farah's Light by Layla Karimi opened to praise. It not only chronicles Farah's life and sudden death, but also emphasizes the fortitude and will of people she left behind. The honesty and depth of the movie were commended for capturing the complexity of human nature and the effect of one woman's vision on a whole society. Farah Golab's narrative ultimately was one of triumph over hardship, the ongoing power of legacy, and the strong ties of family, not only of tragedy. Her brightness kept motivating her loved ones and community toward a better, more hopeful future.